So what are you drinking over there, Sam? Got some bone broth?
Yeah, I got some bone broth. How about you?
Bone broth. I was actually thinking this morning, about a year ago, we did a special episode, maybe less than a year, talking about 2027 trends. And one of the trends that we had kind of highlighted was soup and broth. And I think I spent 20 minutes of takes trying to say bone broth without saying bone broth. So you are the lucky recipient of my honed pronunciation.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's amazing that you guys were thinking about that. When did you say that was?
It was after Newtopia Now, so our big event in Denver, and kind of before the end of the year. We were just noticing so many great products coming through, soups, broths, functional broths. And I am so excited to talk to you because I really think you guys were one of the first, if not, major pioneer in this category. So I'm getting ahead of myself. I should start by introducing you, welcoming everybody back to The Naturalist. We are super excited today because we are here with Sam McBride, the CEO of Kettle and Fire, and also the founder of Colter Ventures. Sam, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, I do want to just say thank you to our wonderful sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Newbies. If you've got a picky eater, this one's for you. We didn't set out to build a brand. We set out to solve snacking for our family and friends. So Newbies had to be the best. Real nutrition and real convenience in a little 125 milliliter pouch made for small hands and lunchboxes, with flavors picky eaters actually finish. And Newbies Plus, for all of us big kids, is now plant-based. Made for our family and yours and ready for your shelf. Learn more at nusante.com. That's Nusante with a G.
Okay, Sam, exciting. What bone broth are you drinking?
I'm actually drinking a mix of our classic chicken bone broth as well as our turmeric ginger bone broth. I've been kind of playing with the flavored bone broths a bit and at times mixing them with our classics.
So you're a real connoisseur.
I am a real connoisseur. Last night, I even, there's so many ways to use our product. Like I'm drinking it right now. It's middle of the afternoon. It's a perfect kind of afternoon snack. But last night, my kids, I have 4 kids, and like all little kids, all they want to do is eat pasta and grains at all times. Yeah. And so, you start to feel a little bad after a while, like, I can't make them another box of pasta. And I've been working on this, and last night I nailed it. I used 3 of our 16-ounce boxes of Maui Nui bone broth.
And that's what I'm drinking. I'll hold it so people can see it.
Yes. And 1 box of Barilla pasta, and boiled the bone broth all the way down. So by the time I was done cooking the pasta, there was no liquid left. And the only thing that the steam takes away is the water. So it leaves all the nutrients in the pasta. And so with 3 boxes of Maui Nui, there's 60 grams of protein. And so now my kids are eating this super nutrient dense pasta. So there's a bunch of different ways to talk about being a connoisseur. I'm not only drinking it and mixing flavors, but I'm now like fully integrating it into the cooking routine at home. Yeah.
One of the best meals I've ever had in my life was in Milan, and it was this very typical dish from there, and it's broth. Let's say very concentrated, wonderful beef, probably broth, with pasta in it, with stuffed pasta in it. And it was, I still think about that meal. And now that you just talked about what you made for your kids, I'm wondering when you can make that for us and bring it over to Boulder. You're just over the mountains.
Anytime. Yeah. I mean, it's insanely flavorful. So it's one of those things that at first, and my kids are not like, one of our kids is a really good eater, but the other ones are like completely normal, kid eaters. And our pickiest eater loves the flavor when I cook pasta in bone broth because it's like salty and has this rich flavor. And even he loves it. So anyway, it makes me feel really good about those nights where you're just like, okay, I'm not going to fight with them about what they're eating, but they're just going to have another bowl of pasta, and that's fun.
I never thought about that. So if you're cooking down the broth, the protein remains. It's just the water that's evaporating.
Yeah. So like the trick with doing it that I've done this like, a bunch of times now. The key is you can't put too much broth in, because then you're just there's a lot of broth left when you strain the pasta out. But like last night, one box of pasta with 48 ounces of bone broth, there was no broth left by the time I was done. And you sort of have to keep stirring it so it doesn't, stick and the pasta's moving around. But yeah, you can basically boil out all the water, and you're left with 60 grams of protein and a bunch of nutrients that are now soaked into the pasta. It's amazing.
We often cook potatoes in bone broth. And then we save the liquid. If you're making mashed potatoes, we'll save the liquid and then just drink it or use that for something else. And then it gets that kind of starchy feel. I love this. I feel like we could just talk the whole time about recipes. The other thing I was thinking of, so the one that I'm drinking that you mentioned, the Maui Nui, is that how you say it? Nui?
Yep, Maui Nui. Yeah.
This was obviously the Nexty Award winner this year in our brand new product design and storytelling category. I actually think that this could have won in multiple categories because it's just such a fabulous product. But we loved the way that you tell the story of the Axis deer and Maui's ecosystem and how you use this real estate on the box. But now I'm thinking there's also room to maybe throw in a couple of those recipes.
Yeah, there you go.
Just an idea.
Yeah, I like that.
What if you could discover the next big thing in natural products before it hits mainstream? Imagine being the buyer who took a chance on poppy, or the distributor who took a chance on Siete Foods before they were, well, everywhere. That's exactly what Utopia Now offers. Utopia Now is the conscious products event where breakthrough discoveries happen. Registration is open now, so head to newtopianow.com to secure your spot. The people shaping the industry are going to be in that room, so why not be one of them? Register today and we'll see you in Denver, August 18th through 20th, 2026. Yes, this year, coming right up.
Yeah, it's such a cool story. I went down and saw them a little less than a year ago and did a harvest with them. And it is truly, I've seen a lot of different businesses in the food space, and Maui Nui is a very unique business. It's so cool. And what they're doing for their environment is incredible. And the impact that they're having on the local people is also amazing. Like the night that I was there was the harvest that they do just for the community. So none of it is packed and sold to customers. It's all packed and put into these refrigerators throughout the community, and anybody can go in and just take meat from these refrigerators. And so it's like this incredible food bank of the most nutrient packed meats that you could find, and that has this incredible story about restoring the land. I can't do it justice like Jake can, but it is just it's a really, really cool business.
That's amazing. I think I was having a look at your website, and I saw that there are, in addition to this product, which was kind of news to me when we had it come through the Nexties, there are also 3 new regenerative products. Is that right?
We have 4 total now. So we have beef, chicken, Maui Nui, which is venison, and then the most recent is bison with Force of Nature.
Yeah, so cool. So I wanted to start out kind of a little bit broader, but since we're here, let's talk a little bit about Kettle and Fire and this sustainability, this innovation that you're doing that really feels so important right now. Kind of what are your plans, or how did you get here, or where are you going?
The business Kettle and Fire has always had a real focus on sourcing and quality. And that's really the origin of all of our innovation, is sort of how can we make the highest quality products. And often, and especially for products that are animal based, quality really starts where the animals live and how they're raised and what they eat and their environment. And so partnering with Maui Nui and Force of Nature and some of our other partners has been an important part of the evolution of the brand. And when Justin and Nick started it, it was, how can we source the highest quality bones? And as we've evolved and scaled, we've had incredible opportunities where we can partner with these amazing mission-oriented businesses like Force of Nature and Maui Nui. And both tell a really cool story. Like, you read the story on the back of that box and you realize, if you go spend some time on their website or look up what Maui Nui and Force of Nature are doing, they're amazing stories and they're having big impacts on their local environment. And so we can both support those stories, tell those stories, support those businesses, but also create an amazing product. And our view is, the more that the consumers are able to interact with these amazing products and businesses, the more they kind of understand the value and why they're so important.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. I mean, this is an ongoing thing. We talk about a lot about, regeneratives is so important, and important in our industry, important for the nutrient density, important for the planet. Are consumers understanding that? Are they getting the regenerative message? What do you think?
I think a lot of consumers are, going back to 10 years ago in the early days of RX Bar, consumers were becoming smarter and smarter about nutrients. Whole30 was taking off and paleo was kind of happening. And consumers, you could tell people were doing their research on what they were eating and how it was impacting them. But that trend has just exploded since then. It's gotten steeper. People are learning more. There's more information available than there ever has been. So there's definitely a big group of people who understand what regenerative is and are focused on it, and it means something to them when they go to the store. But I also think, like, maybe the broader impact is just, if you're being a consumer who's just thinking about their own personal wellness, whether it's regenerative or something else, and you're just prioritizing, how do I get the most nutrient dense foods that are going to make me feel really good? That sometimes is all consumers are thinking about. And that's okay too. And we think the regenerative products, the grass-fed and finished products, the organic products, they're all really, really good for consumers. So I think there's a wide range of consumer engagement, whether it's understanding the quality of organic versus grass-fed and finished versus regenerative. And consumers have all kind of like different thresholds on what's meaningful to them.
For these products, I mean, we've certainly seen the meat category exploding over the last couple of years, but the innovation really seems to be in that integrity piece, that sustainability piece. I mean, that's where I'm at least seeing the most interesting innovations is in that. I mean, beef jerky or bone broth may have been around for a long time, but seeing that innovation come through on the sustainability front, I think is really speaking to consumers.
Yeah. And I think the sustainability piece certainly does speak to a subset of consumers. And I think the way consumers are headed, there are more and more who will at least understand conceptually why farming practices are really important, because you only have so much land to farm on. And so the better you treat that land, the more likely you are to be able to continue to farm on that land over a long period of time. But I also think a lot of people are just thinking, what is the highest quality thing I can put in my body? There's so many ways to spend our time. Everybody's got 10 different streaming services, and there's a million things you can do on your phone or your computer. But at the end of the day, you have one body. Like, if you screw it up badly, there's no substitute. And that, I think, is the biggest trend for consumers, is realizing that investing in their health and wellness is money well spent. And so whether it's whatever the philosophy on sourcing is, I think the consumer is headed towards a place of making really good wellness decisions for themselves.
Mhm.
And those are personal. Everybody's got their own thing. But what we try to do is bring the highest quality, most thoughtfully sourced broths to the market. And we think the consumer gets it and understands the value.
Yeah, I think you're right. I love that. So given that we talked a little bit about broth as a big trend this year and this very important focus on wellness among consumers, what's going on with the bone broth category?
Yeah, I mean, it continues to grow. It's amazing. I think if you had asked us 8 years ago, how big do we think the bone broth category is? And sort of to your opening point, Justin and Nick, when they started this, I mean, they really pioneered it. It's not a new product in the sense that bone broth has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's probably like up there with meat as like one of the original foods, you know? Like if you were a caveman, you killed something and you pretty much ate every piece of it, including probably making a stew out of the bones. So it's not new, but the category had lost its way from a nutrient standpoint. It was a totally watered down category. I mean, literally a watered down category. Yeah. So they brought back a huge focus on nutrient density and then sourcing that nutrient density through really high quality supply chain. And we see the bone broth category continuing down that path. You know, the consumer is going where we've been since Justin and Nick started the business. And we're seeing more and more consumers come into the category, and it's from all different angles. Some of them are high protein seeking consumers. And, you know, we've seen amazing businesses be built on the concept of protein per calorie. And bone broth has an insanely high protein per calorie ratio. But then we've also seen a lot of consumers who are either trying to cut weight naturally, maybe they're doing fasts, or they're trying to go with a lower calorie snack, and that bone broth is a great way to achieve that. And then we've also seen consumers who are taking GLP-1s. And if you're taking a GLP-1, a big heavy meal is not appealing, but you still need protein. You still want nutrients, collagen's really important. And bone broth hits on that too. And then the last trend, I mean, I could go on and on, but the other major one, the other major one that we see is gut health. That's been something that people are more and more attuned to, is how gut impacts the broader wellness picture. And again, bone broth is like absolutely amazing if you're thinking about gut health. So it's really this like incredible product. I'd be lying if we said we thought it was going to be this big 8 years ago, but we did sort of say, like, I do remember in board meetings us saying, you know, this is the kind of thing that like at some point the product is so good and the use cases are so varied,
yeah,
that at some point the consumer is really going to get it. And we're definitely right in the midst of that right now. We see it just an incredible amount of consumer adoption.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly moved into the mainstream as well, which has been amazing to see. There was, you know, when you mentioned bone broth has been around, you know, since the dawn of time, it made me think about a session that was at Expo West this year with Jason Buchel, the CEO, global head of Whole Foods, and Mark Bittman. And they were talking about, you know, what's old is new. You know, this trend that everybody wants simplicity. They want, you know, these really integrity-filled, clean ingredient. They were talking about things like quinoa. You know, nobody ate quinoa, and then all of a sudden somebody said, "Oh, let's put it in a bag and sell it," and then it became super trendy, and people started eating it. I mean, it's been around in Peru and the Andes for thousands of years as a crop. So I feel like this also really hits on that trend of just simplicity and wholesome foods.
Natural Foods Merchandiser has been the trusted way to reach retail decision makers in the $300 billion plus natural products industry for nearly 5 decades. Our readers don't just browse. 92% turn to NFM to discover new products and trends. 82% engage with our content weekly or more, and 78% interact across multiple platforms. With 15,000 print and 50,000 digital subscribers, including category managers, buyers, store owners, wholesalers, and distributors, NFM is the daily resource that shapes purchasing decisions and drives industry growth. Subscribe today, or to be included in the magazine, email newbusiness@newhope.com.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think people are just paying much closer attention to their health. I mean, you see it all around you. I saw this amazing stat the other day that I can't remember how they quantified it, but it was like, if you lived or were in close association with someone who is on GLP-1s, you were more likely to lose weight.
I saw that too.
Yeah, it's just like, it's on everybody's mind. And I think rightfully so. I mean, you look around, and as a country, we could certainly afford to cut back a bit on calories. And our view is that spending will continue to go up on food, particularly healthy food.
Yeah.
But the number of calories people consume will likely decrease. And so that is a completely new trend. That's not a trend that has existed basically since all of the major food companies were formed. Everything was about how many calories can you get per dollar. And I think we're entering a world where it's going to be much more about what's the quality and the nutrient density that you're getting per dollar. And the calories, you'll sort of take them or leave them, but overall people will consume fewer calories in this next era.
Do you ever have these thoughts or these conversations? And I agree 100%. And then just think like, duh. Why did it take us so long to get to this point? But
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It all kind of makes sense. Like the modern, maybe not this current like changing food infrastructure, but the call it the old guard. Those businesses were built for good reason. I mean, we were going from an agrarian economy, and the country was growing. There were 2 world wars. We needed to send food overseas to feed people. You had an explosion in population. There were a bunch of reasons that shelf stability and pure calories was the priority. But I'd say we've basically solved that. Like we are producing a ton of calories. And now the focus will be much more on the quality of those calories versus just the quantity of those calories. So I think it makes sense. And, also consumer behaviors are sticky. Like, we all have parents or people who are several decades older than us who have habits that just are hard to break. And so in a lot of ways, it doesn't surprise me. I think it just takes time.
that was a much better response than duh.
No, but I mean, it does sort of feel that way a little bit, but it is kind of hard too, like we've all tried to make like food, like eating changes. And it's like, man, the habits are sticky.
Well, you think about when some of these things were created or invented or like spam, it was probably really cool at the time that we can do this and we have the technology and it stays shelf stable for so long. And so yeah. I think you're right. Just putting it in the context of where we are now as a society is super important.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is a lot of those products were not the same as they are today. So our use of pesticides and things like that have changed over the last 100 years. And so there are certain ways that those products are significantly worse than they were when we were kids or when our parents were kids. I think in some ways they were eating very different items than what we're being offered today in those same packages or at those same restaurants.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is a part of, and like going back to regenerative, the way things are farmed and the way different chemicals are used today is different than it was back then. And you have to be more thoughtful about the source of your food than you probably needed to be 50 years ago.
Given all of this and what we talked about with just the boom in the bone broth business and this all the trends that it meets, what kind of plans does Kettle and Fire have in terms of scaling?
The past few years have been defined by us trying to build a more robust supply chain so that we can meet demand and so that we can even push. A lot of this has come because the consumer has moved in this direction so fast. And like we talked about, whether it's protein maximalization, GLP-1s, gut health, just clean eating in general, protein per calorie, those trends have all converged on us. And so the last handful of years have been about let's meet demand. And so it's been about building the core supply chain. And as we scale, we will always partner with folks like Maui Nui and Force of Nature and other farms to commit to volume so that they can continue to expand their operations. And we're not, I don't mean to say that Maui Nui and Force of Nature are dependent on us to expand their operations. They have great businesses on their own. But as businesses with products like ours scale, it's very helpful because now you're not this small, $2 million a year business trying to figure out where you can buy ingredients. Now you're big enough to say, hey, we'll commit to large purchases over the next 5-10 years. And in exchange, they can expand their supply chains to meet the future need. So that's one of the big things as we scale is bringing our partners on the farming side along with us, in addition to building out our own capacity to actually manufacture the product.
So do you have any little nuggets you can throw our way in terms of what's coming down the pipeline?
We do have a bunch of innovation we're excited about. It'll all follow the same theme that the business has followed for almost a decade now of really high quality sourcing, very simple ingredients, and nutrient density. So there's a bunch of places that we think we can play in the store. And we're excited about it. We'll send you the innovation. We've got it ready when we're ready to share it.
Please do. Please do. That was my next question. And, how are you innovating? And you answered that perfectly. Well, I am going to be very anxiously awaiting that news. I love Bone Broth. I love your broth. It's such a great company. And it's been really exciting to see just so much interesting innovation from you, but always with that commitment to the sustainability and the quality. And yeah, love it. Huge, huge fans.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And we'll catch up when the innovation's ready to be shared.
Well, it was certainly such a pleasure to talk to you, Sam. Thanks so much for being here. And look forward to seeing more from Kettle and Fire.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.